And welcome back to the Boardroom International Surfboard Show, Del Mar Fairgrounds, San Diego, California. 2 days, day number one right now, into the hot seat, John Mizell, who grew up in Santa Barbara, and now he is back in California shaping. Normally his home shaping bay would be at Waialua on the North Shore of Oahu. So we're taking a look at him, and we've already seen this morning, which would be our next guest. We've seen Taz Yasmin and Reno Avalera. This is our third shaper in for the Icons of Foam, honoring Mark Richards, presented by U.S. Blanks. Joining me right now, one of our co-hosts, and it is Jeffrey Baldwin. Baldy, you have been busy, and this is a raging success so far today.
So it sure does feel like it, going out there getting interviews that we haven't been able to see yet, but I got to watch our next guest during his little stint looking really nervous.
Well, we'll get to him shortly. First of all, we should talk about you.
Yes.
And what you got going tomorrow morning. That's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I got roped into it from Scott Bass. So
he comes up with crazy ideas.
He does. So it's a short two-loop race out at 15th Street in Del Mar. I'm going to be sort of set at a disadvantage paddling slower boards. I guess guys might show up with race boards, stand-ups, paddles, lay-down paddles, whatever. I'm going to be on an inflatable Shubu by Boardworks, a 10-foot inflatable stand-up, and a life-saving board. So I'm going to give myself a short head start, and the object is for them to catch the rabbit, and when they do, the first person to catch me gets that board as a prize.
Are you going to have a leash?
No leash.
So they
I'm going to have a flag, like a flag football, or they might just tackle me.
And if they actually, the first one to grab that flag, what do they get?
Oh, they win the board. The 10-7 inflatable stand-up by Boardworks called the Shubu.
Okay, exactly where and at what time?
This is going to be at 9 o'clock approximately at Powerhouse Park at 15th Street in Del Mar, where the surfboard demo will be happening, and a lot of these vendors will have all their product also.
So you can take the train or you can park. Where do you park? Where your suggestion?
That's a good question. There's a parking lot straight across the street that's free till 9 or 10, but there's also some big event in Del Mar happening. So the lifeguards warned me, get there early, try to come from the north, because the south, the streets are going to be busy with an art fair.
Yes.
So I saw the no parking signs from 3 a.m. to 8 p.m., and I thought, what's happened? So
have a loved one drop you off and just have fun. Okay, we've got a special guest, don't we? And he started first things off in the morning at 10 a.m. before we started our live webcast. Will you do the introduction?
Yes, I will. Taz Yassin, the 16-year-old from the Canary Islands who had the guts to email Scott Bass and say, I see my future in shaping. And Scott was so blown away that he said, yeah, you get your way here and you're on. So here he is with Pat Ross and Reno Avalera, Wayne Rich, John Mizell, with MR staring at him, and he was so nervous this morning, but he did an amazing job, and MR watched the whole time.
Well, lucky for us, obviously he's a very intelligent young man with multiple languages. Let's start off with some English. Tell us about yourself.
I'm 16 and I shape surfboards.
16 shaping surfboards, and how long have you been shaping for?
I've been shaping since I was 12 years old.
Who got you into it? Obviously maybe a family member or the local surf shop?
I perforated my eardrum when I was surfing, and I couldn't surf for about 6 months. So I always wanted to shape, and it just seemed like the perfect time, and I started there and carried on.
Canary Islands, that is a beautiful tropical location, correct? Great for surfing, windsurfing, kiteboarding. Do you get back into the water at all? Can you get back in? Do you still do a little bit of surfing?
Definitely. Since I got better, I've been surfing every day.
Okay.
It's an amazing place. Canaries is an amazing place.
And when you got inspired to shape, was it an older surfer? Was it stuff looking at magazines, videos? What made you gravitate to wanting to craft the board yourself?
Every time I'd walk into a shop, I'd see all the boards and want to buy them all, because I just loved every single curve on every single board. I just thought it was a really cool thing. So shaping them was the only way I could have lots of surfboards and make them and surf them all the time.
Yeah, and you were saying blanks are really hard to get, so it's not easy to shape boards. One, as a 15-year-old, probably with not the most money, and the blanks are hard to come by.
Yeah, we get them through a distributor back home, and we only get maybe 2-3 models of blanks, and we have to hack every single model we want out of those 3 blanks. So it's kind of good going off of that onto a competition like this because you get used to hacking down foam really quickly, and that came in handy today with only an hour and a half to do the board.
Was that your check-on? Because all your tools were in a nice big case.
Yeah.
That was a check-on.
Yeah.
Did it exceed the weight limit of 50 pounds? Did you have to pay extra money?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I bet. That was a heavy-looking box. Do you have a friend with you traveling?
Yeah, I actually came with the person who showed me how to surf. He's there with the little camera.
And kind of keep an eye. It's difficult to travel the world if you're 16 because there's no way you can rent a car, correct?
Yeah.
Or get
really
on an
hard.
airplane. It's a challenge. Would you like to mention who's helping you out here?
Yeah, he's called Jose. He has a surf shop back home, K16, and he's showed me how to surf. He's been there all the time. And I came also with another friend who's going to be staying with me until December over here.
Nice. And so, who's your hero in surfing in terms of watching a competitor or a surfer that inspires you, which means you look at his equipment that he's riding?
Kelly.
Who?
Definitely Kelly.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Did he just win the next
Yeah.
event?
Do you know exactly what he was riding to win the French event?
As much as I could possibly research about it, yeah. Kelly, and I really like Stuart Kennedy. I really like his equipment. I really think he's going in a good direction. And I really like old school stuff too. I don't like to maybe ride him that much, but I really like to shape him and I really like to look at him. So MR definitely.
That's what I was wondering. So you were saying you got your tools here, but you couldn't bring your own surfboards because it was too expensive. So you had to make boards at Bird Surf Shed in San Diego, which you don't have yet. And it was interesting, while you were shaping, was that your planer?
Yeah, that
Because
was my planer.
MR thought that it was not. So he was like, man, that's so hard to come and use someone else's planer and do such a good job. You had a little insight on them.
Amazing. What do you think about, in terms of the elite guys that are surfing right now, were you impressed with Dane Reynolds actually riding board? And then another young man that's in the Bali right now, Andrew Doheny, is learning to shape. Have you heard about Andrew?
Andrew Doheny is learning to shape? Wow,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah. So anyway, the foreguard, would you love to shape Kelly's boards in the future?
Definitely.
Yeah. You would probably love to win the $1,000 and defer your extra baggage costs, right?
Yeah.
If you win this.
It'd be really cool. My dad always showed me to always give back when you get something, so I'd be stoked to just give to all the orphans back home. That'd be really cool. And cover, yeah, that would just be sick. But with Mizell and Wayne Rich and Pat Rawson shaping, I really doubt that's going to happen.
Well, how did it turn out? How many minutes did you spend on the board?
1 hour and 25, I think it was. Yeah, I finished with 5 minutes to spare. It came out good. I'm happy with it. But yeah, the guys who are shaping today are just so above anything in life. So it's just being able to compare myself isn't really doable.
You were saying how Wayne Rich and you had been emailing back and forth, and he kind of became the shaping father figure. It was the first time anyone had ever gave him tips on shaping, and it was via email. And before the competition started, Wayne Rich was in there helping him understand the concaves, and he said that helped him immensely. So can you?
Wayne Rich is an awesome guy. Wayne Rich is one of the first people who's ever told me anything about shaping, because I was completely self-taught. Back home, today's one of the first days I've ever seen somebody actually use a planer before. So Wayne Rich, once I knew I was in the competition, I sent him an email just how stoked I was, and he emailed me back, gave me his phone number, rang him up, and he just told me everything. Literally didn't hold back on any tips, showed me heaps of stuff, and even today, 10 minutes before I started making the board, he came in and was like, okay, you got to make the concaves like this and just do this, and I did exactly what he said, and it turned out perfect.
You know what? If you look ahead, 5 years, maybe 10 years, you'll travel the world like one of the top shapers, they do. You'll spend 2 months in France. You'll spend some time maybe in Hawaii, maybe in Japan. I mean, they are the artisans, the backbone of the surf industry, these guys that made a name for themselves, that make everybody happy with these great shapes, right, Baldwin?
Absolutely, and I feel like they're just taking you under their wing, like they want to, don't you? You just get this sense.
It's wonderful that they pass it along. Any other shapers you know that, other than I mentioned Andrew Doheny, and then obviously Dane Reynolds kind of getting in the spotlight with his board, but young shapers out of Europe?
I've heard a lot about Ryan Birch. I've heard a lot about his boards. I actually saw a couple, and yeah, I'm stoked on what he's doing too. I'm glad, because not many people now really want to shape, and I'm glad that there's still some people who really, really like it. And it's cool to kind of, I wish I could meet some of them too and talk to them and kind of be like, yeah, I'm young and I shape too.
How many CAD machines are in the Canary Islands?
I think there's one. One. And I've never actually seen it, I've just heard about it. I've never used the machine shape.
And do you have a following? Do you have kids that are getting your boards now? Like you have legions of Groms?
Back home, I shape for a lot of people. It's fun because you surf with them. I've surfed with them since I was little, and now I shape for them, and they come into the shaping bay and they tell me what they want, and all the locals back home, tons of Groms, and it's just really fun to shape for everyone.
Okay, how can people find you? The locals that are visiting, or the locals that are there, or people visiting the Canary Islands?
Oh, in the Canary Islands? If you go down to the beach and ask for me, most people would probably know where to find me.
You're shaping her at the beach. And the community that you live in?
The community I live in.
Yeah, what's the name?
Oh, the island is called Tenerife.
Tenerife, yeah, famous.
And then it's pretty small, so yeah, you'd probably be able to find me if you asked around.
Anybody would know you. Okay, what's the hardest thing that you found in terms of shaping? Is it the rocker? Is it the outline? Templates? What is the next thing that you're really working on? Probably
being able to mix all of it together in front of 100 people. That's probably the hardest thing.
And you were saying you like making the retro boards just because there's so much creativity. Yeah. And have you gone into the finless and long boards?
Yeah, I shape pretty much everything. Short boards and kind of moving forward is always going to be my focus. But the fact that the old boards are so beautiful and the curves on them are so nice, and the story that each board has behind them, I really like to shape those too. Not necessarily ride them, but there's lots of people who do like to ride them that I'm stoked to shape them for. But yeah, the high performance and all that kind of stuff would be my focus in shaping.
2 more questions. Are you still in school?
No.
Okay, then here's a school question. The Canary Islands as we know it, people think canaries, or they think canine as in the incisor teeth, or they think the seal, the local seal paw. What are the Canary Islands named after? What?
I wish I knew the answer to that question.
I just talked to a girl recently down at Trestless, and she said, oh, it's the dogs. Then you talk to somebody else, oh, it's the canary birds.
Yeah,
it's going to be the shape.
Story.
Well, I can't. Have you have a logo yet? Do you have any kind of
yeah, just a T, and it's just I've got it on my phone, but it's just, Taz. It just says Taz in these, a bit like RVCA letters, basically.
Well, let's put a Tasmanian devil with some teeth on there.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that too.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I think, Baldy, you're staying here. And we're going to bring in a legend, Gary Linden. Quick break. Stay with us as we continue from Del Mar, California, the Boardroom International Surfboard Expo.